Two men walked into my office only a few days apart. Both were 64 years old. Both had retired recently. Both had spent decades working hard, raising families, and carrying responsibilities that so many men quietly bear throughout life. On paper, they appeared almost identical. But the moment they walked through the door, I knew they were living completely different lives. The first gentleman moved slowly. He reached for the chair before sitting down, almost as if he didn't fully trust his own legs anymore. His shoulders leaned forward. His breathing was shallow. Before I had even finished asking how he was feeling, he sighed and said, "Doctor, I guess this is just what getting older feels like." A few days later, another man the exact same age came in. His handshake was firm. He stood comfortably while we talked. His eyes were bright. He smiled and said something I still remember. "Doctor, I still feel like I have a lot left to do." Same age. Two completely different men. Most people assume that difference comes down to luck, genetics, or having good genes. But after seeing countless older men over the years, I've learned something that surprises almost everyone. The strongest men after 60 usually aren't the luckiest. They're simply the men who never stopped using the abilities their bodies were designed to maintain. Today, I want to help you discover exactly where you stand. Not with expensive scans, not with complicated laboratory tests, but with 7 remarkably simple abilities that quietly reveal how well your body is aging. As we go through them together, answer honestly, not because anyone is judging you, but because knowing where you are today is the first step toward protecting the years ahead. And here's the encouraging part. Almost every one of these abilities can improve. Age changes every man. Stopping is what causes the real decline. I'm Dr. Claire Morgan, and today we're talking about something every man over 60 should know. By the end of this article, you'll have a much clearer picture of how your body is really doing, which abilities deserve your attention, and what they may be telling you about your overall health. The floor test, a window into your overall physical condition. Let's begin with something that looks incredibly simple, but may tell you more than almost any machine ever could. Imagine sitting on the floor, nothing unusual, just sitting comfortably on the floor in your living room. Now ask yourself one question. Could you stand back up without using your hands? No grabbing a nearby chair, no pushing off your knees, no rolling onto one side first. Just your legs, your balance, and your core doing the work. It sounds almost too easy. Yet this one movement quietly measures several parts of your body simultaneously. Your leg strength, hip mobility, balance, flexibility, coordination, and even your confidence. If one of those systems begins to weaken, standing up suddenly becomes much harder than most men expect. That's why movements like this matter so much. Real life isn't about lifting the heaviest weight in the gym. It's about picking something up from the garden, playing with your grandchildren on the floor, fixing something underneath the kitchen sink, or getting down to tie your shoes and getting back up without wondering if you'll make it. I've noticed something interesting over the years. Many men stop getting down onto the floor because they're afraid they won't be able to get back up. At first, it seems harmless. I'll just sit on the couch instead. I'll use a chair. I'll avoid kneeling. But little by little, their body forgets the movement. The muscles become weaker. Their balance becomes less reliable. Their confidence disappears. Eventually, the thing they were avoiding becomes exactly the thing they can no longer do. That's why movement is so important. The body remembers what you ask it to practice. If getting off the floor felt difficult the last time you tried, don't see that as bad news. See it as useful information, because your body is incredibly adaptable. Even practicing gentle floor movements for a few minutes, several times a week, can gradually rebuild mobility and confidence. Small improvements repeated consistently often create remarkable results over time. The walking test, your foundation for independence now. If that first test made you think, this next one may tell you even more, because it measures something every independent man depends on every single day. Walking. Could you walk for 30 continuous minutes today at a relaxed pace without stopping because your knees hurt, without your hips becoming stiff, without feeling completely exhausted before you reached the end? If the answer is yes, you're already doing something many men quietly lose without realizing it. Walking is one of the simplest things we do, which is probably why so many people underestimate it. But every step asks your heart, lungs, muscles, joints, nerves, and balance to work together. That's why walking supports so many different parts of healthy aging at the same time. It helps keep your circulation moving. It encourages your joints to stay mobile. It supports better balance. It even helps keep your brain active. But perhaps the greatest benefit isn't physical at all. It's independence. The ability to walk comfortably means you can still go where life is happening. You can visit family, meet friends, travel, shop, attend church, take your grandchildren to the park. You remain connected to the world around you. And that's something no prescription can replace. Unfortunately, I've also seen the opposite happen. A man notices a little discomfort in his knees, so he walks less. Because he walks less, his muscles become weaker, his joints become stiffer. Walking becomes even harder. Before long, the problem isn't simply the knee anymore. It's the lack of movement. The body was designed to move, not perfectly, but consistently. If 30 minutes feels like too much today, start with 10. If 10 feels difficult, start with 5. There's no prize for doing everything at once. The goal isn't to prove how strong you already are. The goal is to become slightly stronger than you were yesterday. Your body responds to that message far better than most people realize. The purpose test. What pulls you forward? The next ability surprises almost every man because it has nothing to do with muscles, nothing to do with walking, and nothing to do with what shows up on a medical test. Yet it may be one of the strongest signs that you're still living with purpose. When you wake up tomorrow morning, is there anything you're genuinely looking forward to? Maybe it's spending time with your grandchildren, working in the garden, fishing with an old friend, taking your wife out for breakfast, finishing a project you've been putting off, learning something new, or simply having a reason to get out of bed with purpose. It may not sound like a health test, but in many ways, it is. Over the years, I've noticed that the men who stay active the longest usually have something pulling them forward. Not because life is perfect, but because they still feel needed, still feel curious, still believe tomorrow is worth showing up for. The opposite can happen so quietly that many men never notice it. The days begin to look the same. The hobbies disappear. Friends are seen less often. Exercise becomes less important. Sleep starts slipping. Meals become less healthy. Little by little, the body begins following the mind. Purpose doesn't have to be something extraordinary. You don't need to start another career. You don't need to climb mountains. Sometimes purpose is as simple as knowing someone is expecting to see you tomorrow. A phone call, a family dinner, a woodworking project waiting in the garage. One reason to keep moving forward. The body responds remarkably well when the mind still has somewhere it wants to go. The grip test. What your hands reveal now. Let's look at something doctors have quietly been paying attention to for many years, your hands. More specifically, how strong they still are. If you went grocery shopping today, could you carry 2 reasonably full bags from your car into the house without stopping halfway, without your hands giving out, and without your shoulders or lower back complaining for the next 2 days? It sounds like an ordinary chore, but it tells us far more than most people realize. Your grip reflects much more than the strength of your fingers. Strong hands usually suggest healthier muscles throughout the body, better nerve function, stronger connective tissue, and greater physical resilience. Researchers have consistently found that men with better grip strength often remain independent longer as they grow older. They're more likely to keep driving, traveling, gardening, fixing things around the house, and continuing everyday tasks without depending on someone else. Think about how often your hands serve you every single day. Opening a stubborn jar, carrying luggage, holding a grandchild, using tools, pulling yourself up after kneeling, even catching yourself if you lose your balance. Your hands quietly support almost everything you do. The encouraging part is that grip strength usually responds very well to regular practice. Simple exercises like squeezing a soft rubber ball, using a hand gripper, or even twisting a rolled towel for a few minutes each day can gradually improve strength over time. No expensive equipment, no complicated routines, just consistency. Because when your hands stay strong, the rest of your body often follows. The memory test. Keeping your mind sharp now, let's move away from physical strength and talk about something many men fear losing even more: their memory. Can you remember the name of someone you met last week? Not someone you've known for years, not a neighbor, but someone new, someone you only met once. If you can recall that name without much effort, it's generally a reassuring sign that your brain is still building and retrieving new memories effectively. Many men become worried the moment they forget a name. They immediately think something is seriously wrong. Fortunately, that's usually not the case. The brain changes as we age, but it never completely loses its ability to adapt. In fact, it continues changing throughout life based on how we use it. Healthy circulation, quality sleep, regular movement, learning new skills, reading, and meaningful conversations all help keep the brain active. I've spoken with many older men who believed their memory had permanently declined. Then they became more physically active, started sleeping better, returned to hobbies they had abandoned years earlier, and spent more time challenging themselves mentally. Gradually, they began noticing real improvement. The brain enjoys being challenged. It likes solving problems, learning unfamiliar things, and exploring new places. Even taking a different walking route from time to time encourages your brain to build fresh connections. Your memory doesn't expect perfection, it simply wants to stay engaged. The emotional stability test: weathering life's storms. Another crucial marker of healthy aging is emotional resilience. When life throws unexpected challenges your way, can you stay calm? When something goes wrong, can you think clearly and make sensible decisions rather than reacting with frustration or panic? This ability is often overlooked, yet it profoundly affects physical health. Chronic stress and anxiety trigger hormonal responses that can damage the heart, weaken the immune system, and accelerate aging. Men who maintain emotional stability tend to have better cardiovascular health, lower blood pressure, and stronger immune function. The good news is that emotional stability can be cultivated. Regular physical activity, meditation, meaningful social connections, adequate sleep, and even simply taking time to breathe deeply during stressful moments can all help. Some of the healthiest older men I've met practice daily routines that help them stay centered, whether it's morning meditation, an evening walk, or simply taking time each day to reflect quietly. The connection test: your impact on others. There's one final marker I'd like you to think about, and in many ways, it may be the most important one of all because it isn't measured by your muscles, your memory, or a blood test. It's measured by the effect you have on the people around you. When you walk into a room, do people feel better because you're there? Not because you're the loudest man, not because you're the strongest, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your presence brings calm, confidence, and reassurance. After years of working with older men, I've noticed something remarkable. The healthiest men often have this quality in common. Their families enjoy being around them. Friends call them for advice. Neighbors stop to talk. Their grandchildren are excited when they visit, not because they're perfect, but because they stay engaged with life. They stay curious. They listen more than they speak. They encourage people instead of constantly complaining. That matters more than most people realize. One of the greatest challenges facing older men today isn't always disease. It's isolation. Many men slowly withdraw without even noticing. They stop seeing friends, stop joining family gatherings, spend more time alone, and little by little, their physical health often begins declining alongside their social life. Human beings were never designed to live completely alone. Connection protects us in ways medicine cannot fully replace. So ask yourself something honest. Who did you make smile this week? Who feels better after talking with you? If someone immediately came to mind, you're probably healthier than you think. Bringing it all together. Now, let's quickly review everything we've covered today. Could you stand up from the floor without using your hands? Can you comfortably walk for 30 minutes? Do you still wake up with something to look forward to? Are your hands strong enough for everyday tasks? Is your memory still learning and recalling new things? Can you stay calm when life becomes difficult? And do people genuinely enjoy your presence? If you answered yes to most of those questions, you're likely aging far better than you may have believed. And if several of them were difficult, don't see them as failures. See them as directions. Every single one of these areas can improve. Your muscles respond to movement. Your balance responds to practice. Your brain responds to learning. Your relationships respond to attention. Your sense of purpose responds to action. One of the biggest mistakes I see is men believing that growing older automatically means growing weaker. That's simply not true. I've met men in their 70s who move better than men 20 years younger. Not because they were born with extraordinary genetics, but because they never stopped taking care of the basics. They kept moving. They stayed connected. They challenged their minds. They refused to surrender to the idea that age alone determines what they're capable of. Real strength after 60 isn't about lifting the heaviest weight. It's about protecting the abilities that allow you to live independently, care for the people you love, and enjoy the years you've worked so hard to reach. Those small daily choices may not seem dramatic, but repeated over months and years, they create remarkable results. A final word of encouragement: if you're watching this and feeling discouraged because some of these abilities have declined, remember this. The body remembers how to heal. The mind remembers how to learn. The spirit remembers how to hope. Wherever you are today, you have the power to take one small step forward. Start with the ability that feels most achievable. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk each morning. Maybe it's practicing getting up from a chair without using your hands. Maybe it's calling an old friend you haven't spoken with in years. The direction matters far more than the speed. I've seen men transform their health in ways that surprised even their doctors. Not through magic, not through expensive treatments, but through consistent, simple actions repeated day after day. They committed to moving more, eating better, staying connected, and maintaining purpose. You can do the same. The years ahead hold tremendous potential. Your body is capable of far more than you might believe right now. And the best time to begin strengthening these abilities is today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, protect the abilities that matter most, and remember that healthy aging isn't about avoiding every challenge. It's about facing each day with strength, purpose, and the quieter confidence that comes from knowing you're still capable of growth. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care and don't forget to subscribe.